everyone. Welcome to the awesome day of FileMaker Training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FM Training TV. We're every day, including on Mondays where you don't want to get out of bed. Well, we're doing FileMaker Training on Mondays too. So today's very exciting. Lots going on. So last week, Claris shipped the 21-24 release. So let's talk about the upcoming broadcast schedule. If I can press the button right here. Here it is right here. Today we're going to be covering bug fixes on the FileMaker 2024 release, aka version FileMaker 21. Margaret is going to help disseminate the PDF that we kind of cooked up together. It's a bunch of data that came from Claris. It's not exhaustive, but there's so much in there that we really can't cover it in super great detail, but we're going to kind of skim through it today with our co-pilot on the flight today. Flight engineer is Margaret. Back in the days when you had a flight engineer, the co-pilot today is First Lieutenant Jacob Taylor, who will be manning the aircraft and the in-flight entertainment systems.
I'm here if Richard falls over. I have to take over the controls and
That's
trying
true.
to keep flying the plane.
Jacob, what is the on-flight menu for today?
We are going to cover some FileMaker bug fixes, basically.
Margaret has this link she's going to give to all of you. This is a PDF. This PDF was, the purple stuff was me. Here is this document. We gave it to everyone. All of you are here. So I'm going to skim through this. Jacob Taylor is looking at this for the first time. He's heard or seen most of this. I don't want to get too down the weeds because there's like 15 pages of stuff. But we're going to kind of go through this loosely for two reasons. One, most of you have a problem or you want to unaware of a problem. Some of these might go, like some of you are big WebDirect people will be like, oh, and there's like a bunch of WebDirect things in here. Other people have other interests. Some of you are just interested to know that Claris cares about you. Claris the corporation, which is a part of Apple, but they're part of Apple and they care that we have bugs and that they fix the bugs, which is really great. So part of this is kind of that bit piece of it. From a marketing standpoint, it's reinforcing that they care. FileMaker Pro 2024. That's clearly, this was written right here by someone in marketing sales because everyone calls it FileMaker 21. This list is not exhaustive, okay? And there's a lot of fixes and things in here that aren't listed in here. Either the Claris didn't want to list them or it's in the weeds or it wasn't documented or whatever, but there's a lot, it's more than just these pages here. I think it's probably a third bigger than this. So I'm just going to start. We have two groups here. We got pro fixes, we got server fixes. In here is not go fixes, but I'm sure there's a ton of those too. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of it's not documented. So calculation issues, dividing prime number, some sort of math, some math things there. Application quits unexpectedly in Windows. I think of Lynn from Austin when I think of this one. Quit when you're resizing columns and manage. So like a lot of little things in the weeds. Slow text shortening functions, some function, reduced memory usage, things like this. One of the things I'm going to point out is that, and a lot of you are not like really professional. Well, you're professional coders from the standpoint that amateur coders volunteer, professional coders are paid to code. A lot of you are paid, but you really wouldn't consider yourself like you're a tier 1 top professional, right? Top professional. So that being said, we have things that make FileMaker better, like the Monkey Bread plugin. And Claris has things that they've coded the basic FileMaker app, but then they have libraries like their own plugins that they bring into the app that you don't see, that they kind of license, they purchase, however they get that. They take that block of code, they stick it in their app. It's part of FileMaker Pro or Go or Server. Those are called libraries. But at the end of the day, and this is for Margaret and people like that, it's effectively like a custom function or a custom script or something that they didn't build. All they had to do was format their data like a black box, stick it in one side, out comes the other side. These libraries are always being updated. It's like Christian Schmidt and Monkey Bread. Claris has the same problem, so they have to decide when they're going to roll out new library updates. In this list is not library fixes. There's a ton of library upgrades and enhancements to keep it more secure and keep it compatible. Or suddenly everything's working and then suddenly something quits working. It's because the operating system did something and it broke it with an older version of the library. So Claris gets new updates. So they're like the chart. That's a library that they licensed, right? And they pay for. When they update that chart, then they put it in there and then Claris just does a little interface, drops it in there, and the images come out of that automatically, right? Same thing, like if we sent something to Monkey Bread, it comes out. So there's a lot of updates in there. Revert records and transaction. You guys all have this list. You can do searches for this stuff. You want to see Mac OS, something about display error update, cancel update, when no updates. Oh, we see that. We saw this all the time.
That was, yeah.
That was an ongoing
high traffic one. Yes.
That's one I recognized. I'm like, oh, I've seen that before. FileMaker Pro stopped responding when thousands of repeating fields were visible. All of you using thousands of repeating fields, You're wrong. Please stop. We can do repeating fields if you want, but please stop with excessive shenanigans. Repeating fields, Margaret, are the one-dimensional arrays, right?
Yes, I know we talked about that with Calvin the other day and
Yep.
pivot
Yeah.
tables.
Custom menu set. Custom menu set. Hot tip. I'm not going to get too deep into this. The custom menu set is the road to hell paved with a bad UI. Then you have the word XML output. Understand. This came up last week. There's XML version 1, which is the XML in the DDR. So if I go to FileMaker here, open up Big Valley Database, important to understand. All right, so you're in FileMaker and you go Tools, and you go, not that, you go to Database Design Report. Very important for those of you. And you say kick out XML. This has been the XML that's been there for like 100 years, right? It goes back in the product a long time. This is what base elements use and some of the other products use. This is like the historic, but this is not the highly, so this doesn't say XML version 1. It should parentheses next to it say V1. This is misleading UI because they're afraid people be confused, okay? The people are confused, don't even know what XML is anyway. So this is XML version 1. It doesn't have the finesse. Like we talk about the Star Trek transporter. Can you perfectly reproduce a file by decomposing a person down there, molecular Star Trek transporter, beam them through air, beam them through the sky, whatever, and end up in another place and rematerialize them with perfect fidelity. The words I use is perfect fidelity. This one right here is going to beam you from point A to point B, and you might, if you're a human, you're going to come out a human on the other side, but everything else is out the window. The fidelity is gone. The color of your hair, all sorts of stuff is missing. It cannot precisely reproduce it. So Claris is working on the XML version 2. So that's version 1. And if you go over here to Tools and you say Save as a Copy, notice that doesn't say XML version 2. Again, bad design on the UI because it confuses everyone else who's not in the middle of this. This is the Star Trek transporter, which still is lopping fingers and toes off and stuff. But it's going to get better, and this is part of the product lifecycle management. So if you see references to XML, you need to ask yourself, is it XML1 or XML2? Depending upon the context, they say, when FileMaker Pro, save as XML. So this is XML2. So when they say save a copy as XML, so this is the XML, so they don't even say it in here,
Yeah.
XML2.
So what they're pointing out is one fewer appendage is being lopped off here. We are now including the
they
custom menu set
documented
and the
that. You're going to lose eyelashes on one side, but maybe not the eye, right? Which is great. So that's an improvement.
Getting
Nice. Table occurrence reference ID missing, UUID, external data source. This is stuff like if you build tools, third-party tools. Here's another XML. So once again, as a professional developer, all of us here, if you see the word XML, the back of your head, if you care about this, you need to be deciding if it's 1 or 2. Save a copy. Oh, that's another one. It's another. We've lopped off one less finger again. Nice. Conditional format slide controls was not necessarily evaluated, so conditional format was intermittent. On window trigger was incorrectly triggered. Undefined. Calendar on add-ons. I'm going to skip those. Issue adding 2 brackets and a little.
That's an XMLC data formatting issue. Not the beginning sequenced. Their parser couldn't deal with something that was set up incorrectly. That weird curly bracket notation is how you can embed random stuff inside of XML that it wouldn't otherwise be XML compliant, say, because there's kind of specs for how you got to format that stuff.
Let's see, editing, import order, So this import fix, insert from index. What's that?
I bet that 15 is the one I kept running into, actually.
Could be.
So I would always, I'm trying to add, text on a layout, right? It's not an interesting conversation. You drag it out, you start trying to but if you don't like click your mouse perfectly and you accidentally drug a little bit when you're like dropping the text box on the layout, I'm like, I want to put a title here. And if you don't click and then let go, like you drug a little bit, it would sometimes bring the text box back to basically 0 pixels wide. And so then you'd start typing and all of your characters would go straight down on the layout.
That's been a bug for like years, like a
Well,
year or
that's
two.
what I'm wondering. Is it that looks like it could be like a bad description of that problem,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. Hopefully that's what they
I
fixed.
now need to like go test it after streaming.
Well, the problem is I don't never was quite sure how I'd induce it.
It was
So
never
I
on
don't know.
purpose. I know. I
Yeah.
could. Yeah.
Something about error 100 or when re-importing an add-on, whatever on Windows script trigger, missing the DDR.
Mhm.
Insert index from external data sources blank, refers by multiple file. That's a multi-file bug. Send event. Send event is a Apple script thing generally, right? Whatever.
Or PowerShell in Windows. Yeah.
Okay. Dropbox in a web viewer. Mac OS, when opening a Dropbox in a web viewer, which I don't do because when I tried it years ago, I never did anything good. An error display directing you to update your Dropbox. Yeah. File options disabled for the DDR after you've selected. So the DDR, once again, is Database Designer Port. That's this tool over here, which is save. That's DDR right there. And inside DDR is the XML one. It's saying that there's some sort of, that's where we used to have we can make the kiosk. We used to build the runtime in there, stuff like that. Database, credentials, looks like some authentication. It had some bugs in there. Incorrect corruption error. Force disconnect while hosted database was open, then reopen the hosted database, incorrectly resulting in the error. So it was warning you that was corrupted, but it wasn't corrupted.
I have reported that bug previously.
Ah, okay, there you go. Something about Japanese keyboards, I'm pretty sure. Is that what that is? JS? Is that Japanese?
Mm-hmm.
Slow JavaScript recursion. Yeah. Importing XML files. Once again, importing. Yeah, this would be XML kind of 1.0 stuff. Unexpected quit when the FM assigned Mac OS. Okay, this is more of an advanced thing. When a plugin passes invalid UTF-8 data through an API. Okay, that's a plugin fix bug. That's paging Christian Schmidt to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Or 360, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
someone who makes plugins. macOS unexpectedly quit when using Command U keyboard shortcut. What is Command? Anyone know what that does?
No, I've never used that. What happens if I hit Command U in CMS?
Hopefully nothing bad. Try it.
That's what I'm trying to say. Don't be careful where you.
Oh, it did not crash. I'm seeing it's like a printout preview maybe.
All right. Oh, is that preview mode? Hang on. View.
I don't use preview mode.
Oh, yeah. Preview mode is that goes back to the dawn of time. And it's really, yeah, we still need it for little things, but not too much.
It's a preview.
It's preview. I almost, yeah, you can tell how much I use preview mode. I don't want to turn my because then I have to explain to my customers how preview mode is different than browse mode.
So you are in managed database on the relationship graph, entering preview mode. That honestly sounds like an accident, but glad the crash got fixed.
On record commit script trigger when there is an open record. So this is more trend. Maybe Corn Walker will talk about this from Poof Guys this week.
Yeah, well, a lot of these are the commit related stuff, and then also the new, I'll say global audit log, the on window transaction thing, and a lot of it is just like it's not even edge cases necessarily, but it's clean. You can tell it's cleanups of Claris's code. They didn't plumb the stuff all the way through, so all the 50 billion different little ways people can use FileMaker all work perfectly. That's what a lot of this stuff is. It's like, oh, like we were incorrectly triggering record stuff when we shouldn't be, or something like that.
Yeah.
And we have to like clean that up and code around it or whatever.
All right, so this one is from Lynn from Austin. All you other Windows people, pasting a multi-line calculation inspector caused the first line to be pasted and the rest to be truncated. Unexpected quit when multiple inspectors are open. Yeah, so this is kind of dumb. Margaret, so if you're over here in layout mode, and what Claris considers inspector is really this over here and this over here. I mean, maybe the right side's only inspector, but really it's a left and right pane. And you can pop, but see, there's tabs here, right? This is such a in the weeds thing. I'll just show this to you real quick. I could say view, show me, where's the new, is it right here? New inspector. So I can hit new inspector and it pops out another one, right? And then you could have this one set for that. And you could pop out another new one. And then have like, if your monitor was wide enough, you could have these over here to the right. And you could have like, it's like, you feel like you're in Photoshop where it starts spawning this stuff. Now, I have 3 of the 4 that are going here. If I go to back to browse mode, then I go to layout mode. It brings them back. Pretty cool. All right, that's a nice little, I'm just telling you that's what they're talking about. Multiple sidebars, layout mode, inspector caused FileMaker to report an error. Incorrect script trigger. Another trigger. I expect to quit a favorite dialog on the Mac.
Oh, you escaped on adding a favorite host.
Configure local notifications when the name. Okay, well, back up. Local notifications are new for Pro in 2124. So if these are in-market fixes, this would be a go fix. Okay, this is weird because this would, by definition, these are bug fixes from FileMaker 20.3, but this didn't exist in FileMaker 23. Maybe that was a ETS fix, right? Does that make sense? Because the local notifications are new, therefore there would be no in-market bugs to fix, except whatever happened after last Tuesday. Insert URL from I got this email. I got this data from Claris a month ago. Insert URL special character. Windows. Some sort of problem with Windows. Started with the Unicode scripts that failed to connect. Error. That looks like a suck one. External browser turns option is turned off after copy paste URL script step. We haven't talked. We talked about HTTPS tunneling previously. At some point, we'll get into that again. I don't think that's more of a live stream entire conversation. This is where all your traffic goes through port 80 through a browser, basically. Even though you're still in FileMaker Pro and you're not in a browser, the traffic on the network appears to be browser-like traffic. Stage Manager. I hate Stage Manager. God, please put that out of its mind. When Stage Manager is turned on, it's on a Mac. FileMaker Pro, Windows, return, Okay, Stage Manager action, relationship comparison operator icon missing.
Oh, that would be terrifying to see.
Yeah, what does it mean when
you're in the oldest part of FileMaker and it's missing stuff and you're looking at that going, uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. You'd wonder if the database was damaged. See, that's the problem. A lot of people see boo-boos in their database. It's not your FMP12 file, it's the app having a conniption fit with it a little bit. That's what that was. Well, variable with a repetition. Once again, a repetition is a specifically defined, remember we talked about shoeboxes, multiple shoeboxes, a one-dimensional array. So the operation would silently fail if you had an index and whatever, and held your left foot in the air. And
that is fundamentally that old one of the previous math problems. They've been fixing a bunch of bugs like that lately. There was a series of math-related fixes in 20 as well that we covered it on live stream at the time about rounding and stuff like this, where they were having issues with situations like this, where it'd be like too many leading zeros and like something was turning that into not, there's a 1 at the end of the giant list of zeros or something, and it's ignoring it because it's out too far or something. Like they had a bunch of issues like that have been getting cleaned up lately, which is awesome because that's just disturbingly old code problems that needs refurbed and it needs love. It's nothing.
All right, so let me go over here. David wants to see this real quick. So if I go to Richard Carlton, that's a great photo of me. If I click in here and say paste, so I say maybe just can I put a return in here? No, the return went down. Let me just copy that, get rid of it. If I right click and I say insert from index, David wants to know what this is. This is the index. The index is what drives relationships and also find commands. And they're a little bit different, but essentially that's what this is. And so these are all the values that have ever been put in to that field on any other record. And so this is the index. And so you could select one of these, right? So you have this record and then this one here, and they're different. So it's not like it's what is maintained by FileMaker automatically generates index. That's what this is. It's a very underused thing for the most part. You can also show individual words, which then breaks everything down, right? Which is what is part of this right here is the value index. This right here is the full index, right? And they're really two different things. The value index is used for relationships, and the full index is used for find commands. So, and they're not used for sorts. All right, cool. Unexpected quit when renaming a script okay, absolutely. So, okay. This has been a problem. I guess they tried to fix it. It's an operating system problem on the Mac OS. If you start resequencing, you have a version of starting point, and we're going to resequence all the numbers to make a match or something, and you start going along, suddenly it starts going really slow. It hasn't crashed, it goes really slow. That's your last warning. Warning. You need to quit FileMaker before it crashes. Now, if it's on the server and crashing, it's kind of a hassle, but I'd rather quit gracefully and have it quit naturally and happy than even crashing, even if it's on the server. That's a fix that's in 2124 right here. When you edit a layout, calculate specified function names are mixed in uppercase, aren't reformatted in title case as expected. Okay, that's some sort of UI thing. More XML stuff in there. If you're an XML person, XML save as a copy. Once again, this is XML version 2. Conditional formatting icon on unsaved layout. Conditional line did not appear. Yeah, we've seen this also with script triggers, right? If I go File, Manage, and you're administrator, and you go to Layouts, see the little icons right here with the little firework laser looking thing? That's a trigger that's on there. These are little indicators. They're also at the bottom of a layout and layout mode. It tells you that there's a trigger on the layout somewhere. A lot of times these icons are not updating in real time. Like if we had this window open and you're over here and you add a trigger that wasn't none of them were there before, this kind of stuff wouldn't update. And that's been an issue, and you're seeing it over here. Conditional formatting is another icon that you have, right? And so it's not, does not appear until the layout was saved. That's kind of typical. When is the layout saved? Margaret, Jesse, test question. Jesse, are you paying attention?
When you exit layout mode is Jesse's response.
There we go. When you exit layout mode is when it's saved. Correct. You go to browse mode, you leave layout mode. That's how a layout is saved. Correct. You weren't getting updates unless you went all the way out. Now, when you save the layout, say you're using it on the server like everyone's supposed to, not really using a local file unless it's a throwaway. And then you go to browse mode. FileMaker Pro takes all those edits, shoots them to the server, and then they're saved to the file on the server in a very safe way. Okay, so more custom menus. I'm just going to skip that for the general nastiness that represents if you're a big custom menu person. I mean, we have custom menus over here, like you see coaching and some other stuff over here, but largely I'm inclined to remove it because it causes problems. It just always seems like people are like, it's not showing up or working correctly. I can't go to FileMaker help and see whatever. Blah, blah, blah. And so I said, well, just go to the contact screen over here, and then you get the normal menu set. Oh, it's working now, right? See that? So the road to hell is paved with the best intentions. It really is. So custom menus, where we at? Portal height increases when edited. Validate. Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. Validation XML. Portal height increases when edited. Portal.
Yeah, it would resize itself very gently. Yeah, the portal was doing shenanigans.
Portal shenanigans. Mac OS Sonoma, doesn't matter to Lynn. Changing modes, reopening toolbars to reset to defaults. That would suck. Mac OS previously adding custom functions.
55 did suck. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
every
horrible.
single time I opened 20.
No error when editing in-use account. No error. If another user is editing an account, running a script that makes changes to the account will not return an error. Like editing, like you're in here and you're like file, manage, security, and then you're editing like this, editing, I guess, like this.
Are they adding it so that we can actually lock the accounts while editing? That would be very cool.
It seems like that's implied, but it wasn't working, so they fixed
editing it. Running a script that makes changes to the account will not return an error code. If another user is editing an account, yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's actual locking there now. Huh. I presume that it basically probably worked the way we expected it to previously, which is you didn't notice until you relogged in or whatever. But
calculations not updating. There's a lot of stuff in here. Calculation updating with table alias. Security fix for okay. So this is funny. That's not a bug. Yes, it would work the way it was supposed to. See, this is another one of those. It's like this is what we talked about with Wim DeCourt on Friday. So the short version for those of you who missed stuff on Friday is that here is what you need to know. If you write a script and you check off in the script that you give it administrative level access, which is how people, if they're trying to chase, like Jesse, if you try to chase a bug, you don't know what it's doing, you can check a checkbox that script will run as an administrator. So that way, if there's a security problem or a security limitation that's causing it not to work, that script can run as an admin. That's awesome. That's great. The rub is that if you do that and there's any sort of pause in that script where the user can do stuff between the time the script begins and ends, that's a security vulnerability. You don't want your admin level scripts to pause in flight. This would be like in the airline, we're flying across the world, across the country, and Richard Carlton, Jacob Taylor, pilot, co-pilot, we're both going to go to the bathroom at the same time and leave the door open.
Definitely nobody mess with the controls.
Definitely no one messed with the controls while we are paused in the bathroom. And that's what that security fix was. And so they're trying to help with that, but you should also be aware of this so you don't do like an admin with an import statement, import script, where you can go in there and align the imports yourself. That's a pause. That's a pause. The script is stopped. It's waiting for the user to do something. That's the security hole with that. So please, hot air balloon can do not drive the 777, the Boeing 77, when I'm in the bathroom and Jacob Taylor's in the other bathroom. Implicit commits suppressed outside this loop script. Implicit commits. Implicit commits is where it does it on its own, like you flip a record. That's an implicit commit, right? You flip records, you flip layouts, things like that. An explicit commit is when you say commit record with a script step.
I'm reading 64 as we can now use the loop with defer because that'll do what you want. That type of forgetting the data while you're inside of the loop was what I was concerned about when they shipped that setting, because they're like, it's going to forget some of the data and not look up some of the relationships. Now, to be clear, that's a good thing. That's what the point of the setting was, is so that in a specific scenario where you know you don't need any of that information, you can ignore it. Perfect. You get free performance out of that.
We're about halfway through right now, everyone. We're not going to get through all this, but anyway, yeah. So this is good stuff. Custom menu. I don't use them. I'd recommend you don't use them unless you have nothing to do during your day. Layout calculation objects drifting. Oh, LCOs. So if you kept doing that, it would keep moving. Drifting. So drifting means that it's cumulative. It keeps doing it. So it keeps moving itself on the layout. So layout calculation objects, I haven't used them too much. They were new in FileMaker 20 in general, right? Layout objects beginning with a hyphen, okay? Special characters. Don't use them. Hyphen, you can use an underscore. And if it's anyway going to be a URL, don't use a space either. Or, and little twirly, quirky little characters on your keyboard down there. Don't use any of that stuff.
It's one of my go live. That's one of my go live checklists for clients who are on site or did a local development or something like this, right? We get them put up on the server. One of the first things I ask when they're making that transition is, are you going to have web stuff talking to FileMaker for any definition of that? Because if they do, I need to like immediately at that point, before we even get going, get rid of the spaces in the file name that are almost universally there, because it totally doesn't matter when you're local, when you're developing locally or something like that. It just doesn't matter at all. But a bunch of the FileMaker stuff chokes on that, and so you just get rid of them or change them to underscores or whatever.
All right, so HEIC, we were running into this one at Big Valley Aviation, where HEIF and HEIC are new compression formats that, so if you're on a Windows computer, by default, unless this has changed, Windows computers won't read this format, but when they see the format in a browser, so if you're on a Windows, so Lynn from Austin or any of the Windows people, if you're on a Windows computer, and you're on a browser, and the browser sees HEIC or HEIF, it'll throw a dialog saying, "Hey, this is some stuff we don't know how to process. However, we can download this codec, this math, and make it like a plugin and make it so the Windows machine can read that." That's if you're on a browser. However, if you have a Windows computer where you don't browse and do a lot of stuff like that, and you're just like going into FileMaker on Windows won't read HEIF or HEIC unless that installation has occurred, but you don't see, FileMaker won't ask you, say, hey, we can't read this. It doesn't know what to do with that. So you have to do the installation on that. If you get HEIF or HEIC on Windows, Windows loses its mind. It looks like a corrupted graphic, right? Margaret, remember that? We lost Margaret.
I distinctly remember that. That was an entire, we had to have Christian Schmitz make us a new function to fix it.
Well, but then the function could use other stuff. It was really quite
can
good,
be, yes. But I just remember it being a whole like adventure.
Kiosk vertical mode offset. If you do kiosk mode, which is if you're over here and you do the database design or developer utilities right here, and you can say, build me a kiosk, right? Or something like that. This is where the runtime used to be in there. Blah, blah, blah. So that's in there. Some sort of problem with that. So toolbars reset when working on another file. Yeah, there's that. Okay, so server stuff. So let's just kind of cruise through that. Admin role access. Administrator roles incorrectly had access top level administrative features. So this is like the baby admin feature, right? Once again, I shot the video on this once upon a time as a baby admin, and someone took offense that I called someone a baby admin as opposed to a full admin. I don't know what else to call them. I mean, I mean, here they don't make that distinction at all because it's this write-up right here is confusing. Admin role access, administrator roles incorrectly. Okay, that's the baby admin. Hacked at top level features, including it's where you assign an admin on your server, like the sales group could admin their file and back up their file, and marketing can have their file on the same server, and they have their own admin. So when they log into the server, they can see their files and things. They can't see sales or engineering or anything like that. It's not security into the file, it's server administration. We talked about this on Wednesday last week, I think, with Claris.
The verbiage issue comes from reusing the word admin and administrator all over the place.
Yeah, because I mean,
someone who runs a department is an administrator. That's what they are, but they're not root or whatever.
They're not the root or the God mode or whatever you want to call that. The super admin, right?
Yep.
Super admin. Yeah. So that's just.
They can administrate their departments.
I'm not sure what else to call them.
Store privilege set lockdown. Great.
I don't even know. Okay, let's leave that one alone.
It's file permissions. It means people can't hack into your server and get your keys.
Ooh, that's nice. Unencrypted save data settings roles are not encrypted in save file. Now they're encrypted. Okay, Claris is encrypting little things like preferences. This basically says there's a preference file somewhere, and they weren't encrypting it. Now they're encrypting the preference file. Non-English performance counters. Windows performance counters.
Good.
Web publishing engine connections, WPEs. This is not WebDirect. This is if you're like when we go to, I hit the button right here and I show you the live broadcast. That was a custom web publishing call. So by default, you can set these. You can go up to 2,000. We probably don't need that many. How many of you are going to hit this in a day? This is basically a simultaneous setting, right? So how many people simultaneously can beat on this website? Yeah, Claire says 2,000.
2,000. That's what they had. I'm glad that they've done that actually, because they had certified it up in that region previously, and it's very funny that I think what that represents is someone called them on it. Claris said you can do 2,000, and somebody said watch me, and then wasn't able to get there, and they're like, raise my hand, hi, you said we can do X and we're only able to do Y, can you clarify? And they went, oh, we have a bug.
Database server quit unexpectedly due to persistent cache. So this that new okay, so backup. So remember we had the conversation about persistent cache last week, and I basically said, Jacob wasn't here, but I'm like, hey, let's kind of go easy on this since I'm not sure where it's going to go. Well, persistent cache started off in FileMaker 2020, version 20. And they've been working on it. They found some bugs. And so if you mess with the cache size or thing, of course, bad things happen. So once again, whenever you have a brand new feature, really at the core of the product, I'm kind of like, let it sit and air out a little bit. It's like a little strong, let the fumes air out, make it bugs fixed and things like that. Ubuntu, blank disk throughput. I don't even know what that is.
It means that you couldn't read the throughput of the disk previously on the Ubuntu version of the FileMaker server admin console. You can now do so.
Right. Dashboard total connections. Not respecting the admin role. Once again, this is whether you're a super admin God mode or you're a junior admin. Persistent cache log, event log. There we go. WebDirect list view. So this is WebDirect. So in here, some WebDirect fixes. So we're kind of running out of time here. So let me just kind of scoot forward here a little bit. If I do a search let me just do a search for web. Yeah, they did. Claris calls WebDirect one word with the capital D. That's cool. There are 5 references in here, but there's 2 here. So WebDirect refresh. Okay, let's talk about this. WebDirect data refreshing with large container data, Ubuntu, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, things explode. WebDirect list view. Rows in lists displayed incorrect positions. Jacob, isn't there been performance improvements of WebDirect in this release? I mean, that's performance improvements are not it's not a bug thing. It wouldn't be listed in
Correct. Here. Yeah. And also that one, so I read things like that as follow-on to previous work that Claris has done. They, was it within the 20 point whatever releases, rewrote the WebDirect list view implementation. And got it to a point where it was basically good enough and then shipped it. And then obviously people find the actual bugs that exist. And so we're now getting some of those showing up.
So
and corrected.
When I did a search on WebDirect and I got 5, that was 5 pages, not 5 entries. So let's just go through WebDirect real quick. So I'm going to start WebDirect data refresh, you got that. WebDirect list, you got that. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Toot, toot. WebDirect usability fixes. Multiple FileMaker WebDirector issues. Layouts froze and a blue loading circle intermittently appeared intermittently. Keys were incorrectly or continuously repeated during a data entry. If you're a WebDirect person, you've seen this stuff, okay? Changes did not revert after editing data on the summary field.
That's a lot of little sharp edges cleaned up.
Editing data in a so WebDirect would allow you to edit, then it wouldn't go back and say, "Hey, you can't do that, dumb." I wouldn't think you'd want to be okay. Whatever. I have questions about that, but that's fine. Committing changes in Firefox. Great. Okay. All right, Margaret. Just no. Shh, everyone, be quiet. Margaret, what are the supported browsers for WebDirect?
Safari, Edge. I don't think Chrome is supported.
Chrome is supported. Google.
Is it? Okay.
Chrome and Edge are the
So-
same thing.
So,
but yeah.
Margaret, what is not supported?
Firefox.
Then what the is this?
A bug fix for Firefox.
So I
if
guess
you don't,
Firefox is now supported by WebDirect.
No.
It means they got
No.
tired of being yelled at because they won't support Firefox. They've been dumping data or breaking stuff along about details like this for years because they're like, we don't support Firefox. Okay, well, no one cares if you support Firefox. We're going to yell if you don't. At least make it work. Where no one's asking that, the entire business is going to run on the 4th or 5th long browser now. I don't know. Firefox keeps falling in the rankings, whatever. We love it, but a lot of tech people use it, and so they're going to get yelled at if they don't at least make it work. So I would read this as them making it work.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to tell you. This is not them telling you, oh yeah, Firefox is supported. This is them fixing one bug to stop people yelling at them.
Okay. Real quick, I got this other one here. Web publishing engine terminated abnormally. So web publishing engine, remember we talked about with the WIM the other day, that the FileMaker server are these like a group of like, what do you say, 8 or 9 little programs? I thought it was 7, but he says it's up to 8 or 9 little programs that work together on your FileMaker server. One of them is like the main server that does the database stuff, but then there's the web publishing engine, which drives WebDirect. So it says the web publishing engine, i.e. that drives WebDirect, would die and explode into flames if the user tried to navigate somehow to an inaccessible layout in FileMaker. Sending a user to a layout they have access to would cause the whole server to crash. That's a big one. Not the whole server, the process crash. So it means that the Pro and Go users can still use it, but all the WebDirect users are dead. Now, if you tested your code, you would have found this before your users did, right? Because all of us, we write the code, then we test it on WebDirect, right? What do we say? You build it on Mac or on Windows, test it on the other one, test it on the other clients. And if you had done that, you would have crashed the server before you give it to your customers. But we all know that all of us always do proper testing in advance, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
DMP files, create container fields, crash dumps. I'm not going to worry about that. Garbage collection feature with registered keys, blah, 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 blah. Java development kit, Oracle soft keys, keeping 0 preserved backups. Backups generated by the backup schedule set to keep 0 copies were not displayed in the, okay. API data consumption, inconsistent units of measurement. Oh. All right, FM developer tool copy. Oh, developer tool is like the command line version of this right here, right? I think for the most part, this and this kind of combine together and they start putting those things together in that command line tool. Web publishing engine log formatting was formatted incorrectly and inconsistent across records. Data API log formatting, fixed, better. Removed weak ciphers. So these are weak, which means that Margaret could hack them or something.
They're weak. They are no one on stream cares about why, but I can explain it if you want.
No, not particularly. How long would it take a ding dong to hack that? Someone who's marginally talented, you could hack it.
Those have hours or less. Weaknesses for a motivated, attacker, et cetera, with some access, blah blah blah. There's asterisks on that statement, but.
Admin control disconnect, forced outs when the server was under heavy load.
You can do bad things. Yes.
Card windows won't close. FileMaker. Oh, another WebDirect.
If the window was a card and the new window was created during the open. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a WebDirect card thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a general rule with everyone, unless you actually need the user to interact with a window, don't use cards, use document windows. Because you can paint yourself into a corner real fast using cards, because once you pop a card, you're pretty restricted on what happens after that. Unless the user wants to interact with it and you want a pretty window, then please use a card. Unresponsive API error, blah, blah, blah. So everyone has this link. We're out of time here. We're at the end down here at the bottom, right? So any open questions we want to just like swing at for anyone? Margaret, do we have any open questions from anyone on this?
There's been like an ongoing conversation. There's a question about, is ARC supported?
Nope.
ARC
Next
as an
question.
ARK or what?
ARC,
ARC,
it's
it's
a
a-
browser.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's an experimental browser. It
Okay.
is, I think it's originally derived from Brave or one of those, and those are all derived from Chrome. And so the answer is it's Chrome. So will it work? Probably. Is it supported? Claris will never answer that question with yes.
Okay.
What do you
Not in
guys
a reasonable timescale.
think
do we-
about FM server 24 as far as being stable?
We don't know yet. It's been out now for 6 days. I'm waiting for someone to, we've installed, we have one running. Is it under any sort of load? Have we QA'd it? No.
We have one
server.
running. That's
Yeah,
no.
the
I'm,
That's
single-
what I'm saying. It's
I'm
the
answering.
one.
We let one, and it's the
Yeah.
test server. We've never used it for anything that matters yet. So
Yeah, if I go over here and I go to host and I go where's the
Yeah.
host at?
at
Host.
some point here, I will probably upgrade our development servers. Those are not under a lot of load either, just for members of the public that are interested.
Oops, it's all
But-
caps. That should still work, right, Jacob?
Yes.
Yeah, so here it is. It's a FileMaker 24 server. Does it work? Yeah. Whatever.
Logs right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I have nothing that says it's gonna like immediately light your business on fire or something like that. It's just, as always, it's a new release. Everyone's excited. They want to download it and install it immediately. We haven't done it, so you're taking that risk on, basically. So
Yeah. So if you
actually-
want to log in to see it, right? So you're
I
gonna
feel
go-
like actually every time everyone asks that when I'm on stream, I'm just gonna go back to the same answer I give every previous time, which is if you do that, definitely let me know how it goes, because
Yeah.
I would love data coming back that 21 is a good version and works well for you, and you didn't have any problems upgrading or whatever. Like all of that's good info. So
All right, so what we've got on this one right here, this is the FileMaker 21. So if you want to use Pro 21, feel free to use Pro 21, okay? We're using that all over the place, but we're normally using it with the 20 server.
Yep.
So here's the 20, the current build right here. Claris has actively been beating on the next updated bug release of 21. In fact, since we've had this conversation, I'll just share this with you and we'll kind of end on this unless we have a question. FileMaker 21, that shipped last Tuesday, has been done for months. That's why you saw it over here hanging out, and I kept saying, I saw that green icon, didn't see anything, oh, that green icon's all bullshit. And so since early April, they've already been working on the next dot release. I would expect the next dot release to be really good. A lot of upgrades, a lot of fixes across the board on that. But I'm using Pro now, right? Pro, but the server, once again, your mileage may vary, as they say. All right, any other questions we have for today? Jacob Taylor, thank you for coming. All right, everyone, have a good one. We'll catch you tomorrow with AI with Vince Bonanno from Beeswax. We'll see ya.
Have a good one. Goodbye.